morning, people. This is another Rasgrove in the park again. What are we going to talk about today? You know, things always bother me about, we got so much things to say, but the condition of our people, that's what's always on our mind. The condition of all the black people on the face of this God green planet right here. You know, we stuck on stupid. And you know what got us stuck on stupid? You know, I don't understand us. It always bothers me like, man, you think you're going to just come out of slavery smooth so on your way to prosperity? You know, it don't even make no sense you think you're going to come out of slavery without doing some work. You know, and the work you got to do is the work you do for yourself, because nobody is going to set you up to prosper. You got to set yourself up for prosperity. You know, if anytime anybody's setting you up, they're setting you up for their prosperity. If you want to be prosperous for yourself, you got to make a move. And that's why the world is so deceitful. So I don't understand why we can't understand the deception. You know what I mean? You're coming out of slavery. You think that somebody is going to, first of all, somebody made you a slave. The person who made you a slave benefited off of that situation. So as long as people benefiting off of a situation, they're not interested in changing it. You know, who's going to change being prosperous for themselves, even if it's on somebody else's back? So, you know, the people who is in charge of this prosperity here went through a lot to get it, and they got a lot of blood on their hands getting it too. Because, well, the only blood I'm really concerned about is the blood of slavery, because that's where I come in. The blood of slavery and how my ancestors worked for hundreds of years for free so other people could prosper. So where does that leave us? We got no inheritance, because our parents and grandparents done gave away themselves and their labor to other people. And here we are in this generation still doing it. So where we coming at? We ain't coming at nowhere. We just drifting around in this sea of domination. We going nowhere. You know, it's you know, if you're black, you represent Africa, and you can run from it all your life. But if you're black, you represent Africa, and if you represent Africa, you belong to an African community. So your foreparents got stolen from an African community. The African community, the head of the African community is the African king and the African queen. So you got stolen away from your African king and African queen. The continent got away. So we out here, we don't know who our king is, we don't know who our queen is, and we live in any kind of way because we don't have the guidance of our king and queen. So we out here. So here comes Marcus Garvey to say, we need our king. We need the guidance of the king, of the black king, because nobody else is going to fucking help us to do anything. So Marcus Garvey says, look to the east for the king. But we don't know who our king is. So here comes in 1930, the King of Kings. So even though we don't know who our king is, we know who our King of Kings is. It's Rastafari. So the King of Kings is Haile Selassie. So every African king has to pay tribute to the King of Kings. And every African is connected to the King of Kings. And so we all, as black people, we connected to Rastafari. And that's what we're trying to tell the people to get them to understand. We so indoctrinated, you know, this thing come about, you know, people think this Jesus thing is real. You know, this AD and BC and all this stuff right here. All that mean, all AD mean is when Europe start dominating the world and they change the time to suit Europeans. That's all AD means. It don't mean nothing to do with Jesus. Before there was any Jesus, any idea of Jesus, the Greek was controlling. The first deities on the earth anyway are African deities, African gods. The African gods, Osiris, the African goddess, Isis, and the African god child, Horus. So that's the first human deities on the face of this earth. And everybody modeled their deities after that. And these deities are African deities. So the African deities is who we praise before the Europeans took us over. And when they took us over, it's a domination thing. You know, it's like, I took you over, I'm dominating you, I'm not going to praise no God that you have, you're going to praise the God that I have. And so it ain't nothing about no Jesus walking around with 12 disciples or anything, it's just a domination thing. Who dominate, control, and tell you what God you're going to praise. And if you don't do it, they kill you off, or, you know what I mean, they go upside your head until you change your mind. You know, so it's nothing to do with, oh, they're going to convince you in a logical way about Jesus and all this stuff. It's indoctrination at gunpoint. So once you get indoctrinated at gunpoint, you carry it through your tradition. So here is me now, you know, I'm carrying it through the tradition. And through all this, they blindfold us during slavery. We couldn't have, you know what I mean? It's illegal for black people to learn to read and write. So you're in slavery and you can't read and write. So they indoctrinate our poor parents with this stuff. And they come and tell it to us. But the funny thing is now, we come out of slavery and the generations are learning to read and write and check things out for themselves and realize nothing at all happened like that. Where all this stuff come from? These people made this stuff up. They are the only ones that know about it. And it's only written in their one book. And I guarantee you, if all this stuff was happening, as much as people like to trade together, people would hear about people raising the dead and all this stuff, boy. I tell you, Europe would have been packed. People trying to get healed and all this stuff that was going on over there when the so-called Jesus was alive. So it don't even make no sense, people coming back from the dead and all that stuff. It's just a way to indoctrinate you into a way of thinking that benefits somebody else. And we're kind of getting tired of that now. So it's Africa. It's Africa we are dealing with. I mean, when we say Africa, you don't know, oh, go back to Africa if you like Africa so much, because we got our blood and sweat and tears out here behind our ancestors and the slavery and all the shit we're going on. So it's not just go back to Africa with our hands behind our back when we don't build this stuff up and for hundreds of years for free. So as far as I'm concerned, it's blood money until you pay me what's mine or part of what's mine. So I can talk about that because my ancestors were a part of it. You know? So it's blood money to me until you pay me off. So don't tell me nothing about go back to Africa. I'll go back to Africa on my own terms. The point I'm trying to make is we've been bamboozled, as Malcolm X said. And that's all I'm trying to tell the people. It's got nothing to do with Jesus. And I thought when I was a kid, I thought that's how it was. Jesus walking around with 12 disciples doing all this and that. Nothing ain't happened like that. All these Bibles and all these texts in the books were taken from other books and manipulated, and you know what I mean? It's all about European domination. So don't take it to heart don't take it to heart when you see the Rasta man saying these things, because you know sometimes these things are not even easy to say, because when I was a kid I believed everything my mama told me. So you know, it's not easy. It's just I had to come to realize my mama was on this Jesus stuff and she wasn't going to see nothing else. Because when I'm asking my mama about our Father who art in heaven, I'm like, Mama, how come my Father who art in heaven don't look nothing like me? Man, my mama bite my head off, man. I'll never ask a question again, or nothing again, or mama again, about that Bible. The way I felt that day when I asked her that. Because I expected a logical explanation about why my Father in heaven don't look like me. But she didn't have one, so she bit my head off. And so right away, I was like a little kid, but I realized, man, I can't be a part of this Christian. I can't even ask a question. No, I can't be a nothing part of nothing where I can't ask no question, because she sent me to school, and that's the reason we went to school, so we could be wiser. You know, you send me to school and then you don't want me to ask no question. So, you know what I mean? So ever since then, I always seen Jesus, this Jesus thing is more like a stepfather thing than my Father who art in heaven. You know what I mean? So since I couldn't see my Father who art in heaven that looked like me, I was so glad to find Rastafari, you know, because that's my real father. He looked like me, he act like me, and he making a better situation for me. So, you know, my stepfather, all he do is, man, you know, is like, I gotta look out for my own children right now, you know what I mean? I look out for you after I got my own people right. After I get my own kids right, then I look out for my stepchildren. So, stepchildren in a bad situation. And so that's the way I always seen it, you know what I mean? And I don't understand how I could see it any other way. Because look at your situation, black people, and a stepchild that. If your father don't look like you, his stepchild. If he's treating these other kids that look like him better than he's treating you, that's stepchild. All day long. So, you know what I mean? It's just Rastafari right now we want to talk about, and the way how Rastafari come to make this life a better place and a better situation for us. Instead of going around being in this false identity that don't belong to us. You know what I mean? We got to claim our real identity, which is Rastafari. So that's here, you know. That's what we got to say today. Zero.